In the quaint and curious corners of yore, where time doth twist like a pretzel in a perplexed parlor, there resided a most peculiar personage named Anya Chronos. This sprightly sprite, with her hair as wild as a tempestuous tornado, and eyes that sparkled like the stars in a drunken sky, did embark upon an extraordinary escapade through the annals of antiquity. With naught but her trusty time-traveling trinket, a bauble bedecked with baubles, she hopscotched through ancient Sumeria, dodging dastardly dust devils and Egyptian sandstorms that swirled like caffeinated camels on a caffeine high. Lo, as she pranced through the past, Anya stumbled upon Dr. Thomas, an eccentric sage clad in robes of riotous colors that would make even the rainbow blush. He regaled her with tales of civilizations engaged in a cosmic game of Jenga, an absurd assembly of blocks precariously piled high, each piece representing nature's wrath. Floods that flowed like rivers of regret, volcanic eruptions that belched forth fiery fury, and polar shifts that spun the world like a dizzy dervish at a dance-off. Verily, quoth he, these calamities are but jests played by Mother Nature herself. With a smirk as sly as a fox in a henhouse, Anya pondered how such temporal tomfoolery could save our beleaguered planet. What if, she mused aloud whilst twirling about like an unhinged whirligig, we could teach these ancient societies the truth? The truth that their actions were akin to juggling jellyfish whilst riding unicycles on tight ropes stretched over chasms of chaos. Her thoughts danced like fireflies caught in an enchanted breeze. Thus began Anya's audacious endeavor to impart wisdom wrapped in whimsy to those who had long since forgotten the art of harmony with nature. She conjured up visions of verdant valleys and bounteous harvests while brandishing her wand, a stick fashioned from the wood of an ancient tree whose roots delve deep into the very heart of time itself. Listen well, she proclaimed to bewildered Sumerians and befuddled Egyptians alike. Thou must embrace thy environment lest ye find thy civilization crumbling faster than stale bread. As she flitted from one epoch to another, her laughter echoing through epochs like echoes in an empty hall, Anya encountered curious creatures, talking turtles with top hats and wise old owls who recited Shakespeare while sipping tea brewed from leaves harvested under lunar light. Each encounter was laced with lessons cloaked in absurdity, for what better way to teach truth than through tales so twisted they could make even the most serious scholar snicker. Behold, she cried as she summoned forth storms made not from rain but from giggles and guffaws. Let us wash away ignorance with mirth, for it is only when we laugh at our follies that we may truly learn. And thus did she orchestrate whimsical weather patterns that rained down knowledge upon unsuspecting heads, each drop imbued with arcane facts about ecosystems and sustainability. Yet amidst this merry madness lay an undercurrent of sarcasm sharper than any sword forged by Vulcan himself. Oh dear civilizations, Anya chortled as she watched them scramble beneath her magical downpour. Dost thou not see? Thy hubris hath led thee astray. Thou art but ants marching towards thine own picnic demise. Her words dripped with irony as they echoed through time's corridors. In this grand tapestry woven from threads both silly and sagacious, Anya Chronos became not merely a traveler but rather a teacher, a harbinger of truth clad in absurdity's garb. She taught them not just to survive but to thrive, to dance hand in hand with nature instead of wrestling it into submission like some hapless fool at a carnival sideshow. At last, after countless capers across centuries filled with laughter and learning, Anya returned to her own time, a place where people still grappled with their own cosmic game of Jenga. But now armed with newfound wisdom gleaned from ages past, she set forth to share her tales, for if one can't save the planet through reason alone, perhaps they might do so by tickling its funny bone. And thus concludes our tale, a whimsical wanderer's journey through time teaching truths wrapped in humor's embrace. May we all learn from Anya's escapades and remember, sometimes saving the world requires nothing more than a hearty laugh and an open heart. In yonder days when the sun did shine with a fervor most fierce, there dwelt a maiden named Anya, whose mission was as grand as the great sea itself. With a heart full of valor and a mind sharper than the finest sword forged in the fires of Mount Doom, she set forth to prevent mankind from reenacting history's most ludicrous blunders. Lo, quoth she, I have glimpsed into the murky mists of time, and what I hath seen is naught but folly wrapped in folly, an endless loop of calamity that doth make even the stoutest sailor weep. With an air of absurdity befitting a jester at court, Anya donned her enchanted sunscreen, a potion brewed from the tears of mermaids and the laughter of sunflowers. Fear not, she proclaimed with tongue-twisting tenacity, for I shall shield thee from the fiery wrath of Sol himself. Apply this salve lest you wish to resemble a lobster fresh from Neptune's cauldron. Thus armed against ultraviolet doom, she gallivanted through townsfolk who scoffed at her warnings like drunken sailors dismissing a siren's song. Yet lo, the future she beheld was not merely one of sunburnt skin, nay, it was fraught with lifeboats aplenty bobbing upon tempestuous seas. Hark! Cried Anya. Shouldst thou ignore my sage counsel, thou shalt find thyself adrift in a vessel made for but two, while surrounded by an ocean teeming with treachery. Her words were laced with sarcasm sharper than any dagger. Aye, what joy it would be to float aimlessly while sipping on seawater cocktails. As she traversed through realms both real and surreal, Anya encountered creatures most curious. A talking octopus named Oliver who spun tales of climate change with alliteration aplomb. Climate calamities cause chaos, he chortled while juggling jellyfish. The ice caps melt like butter on a summer's day. If only humans could see their folly before they're knee-deep in brine. His wisdom was profound yet absurd. Indeed, it seemed that even cephalopods had taken up arms against ignorance. In her quest for truth amidst this tapestry woven with threads of whimsy and woe, Anya summoned forth arcane facts from tomes long forgotten. "Didst thou know," she began dramatically as if reciting an incantation, "that carbon dioxide levels are higher than ever since yon ancient times when dinosaurs roamed? Methinks they would roll in their graves if they knew how we squander our precious earth." The townsfolk scratched their heads in confusion while simultaneously nodding in agreement, such is the nature of absurdist humor. With each passing day, Anya grew more determined to enlighten those around her. She conjured visions of future generations basking under skies devoid of azure hues. Imagine children playing beneath clouds that rain fire instead of water. What jolly fun that would be! Yet deep down within her magical heart lay sorrow for those who chose to remain blind to impending doom. "Let me teach thee truth," she implored with exaggerated gestures befitting a bard upon a stage, "for knowledge is power, and power can turn tides both literal and metaphorical. Shouldst thou heed my words now or forever hold thy peace whilst drowning in your own ignorance?" Her voice echoed through valleys and hills alike as if carried by enchanted winds. And thus it came to pass that Anya became not just an eco-warrior but also an educator extraordinaire. With every lesson delivered draped in layers of humor and magic, she transformed skeptics into believers faster than one could say melting ice caps. The townsfolk began to understand that their choices bore weighty consequences, a truth more potent than any spell cast by sorcerers past. In conclusion, dear reader, let us take heed from Anya's whimsical yet wise journey through time's tapestry. For though we may laugh at life's absurdities and twist our tongues around alliterative phrases galore, we must never forget, the truth shall set us free from our self-imposed shackles before we find ourselves adrift upon an ocean wrought with peril. In a realm where reason doth frolic and folly flutters, there dwelt a most peculiar personage named Anya, whose connections were as numerous as the stars that twinkle in the tapestry of night. With a mere flick of her wrist she could summon scholars steeped in science and sages steeped in statecraft, all eager to partake in her whimsical waltz of wisdom. "Pray, dost thou possess a potion for preserving history?" she would jest, her laughter echoing like the chime of enchanted bells. With an air of absurdity befitting a jester at court, Anya embarked upon her noble quest to digitize the dusty tomes of yore. "What ho!" she exclaimed whilst brandishing her quill like a wand. "Let us transform these ancient scrolls into shimmering pixels. Forsooth, future generations shall binge-watch humanity's greatest hits, an epic saga more riveting than any bard's ballad." Her enthusiasm was infectious, causing even the most stoic scholars to chuckle at the thought. Yet lo, in this digital endeavor lay a paradox most perplexing. As Anya danced through data with delightful dexterity, she found herself entangled in an intricate web of ones and zeros. "Alas!" she cried dramatically, "I hath become a prisoner of my own pixelated paradise. How dost one teach truth when tangled in such technological tomfoolery?" The irony was not lost on her. Indeed, it was as thick as fog on a moonlit night. With tongue-twisting tenacity, Anya summoned forth arcane facts from the depths of her mind. "Didst thou know," she proclaimed with exaggerated flair, "that the ancient Egyptians employed papyrus not merely for writing, but also for wrapping their beloved mummies? A veritable preservation technique that doth rival my own digital designs." The absurdity of comparing pixels to papyrus sent ripples of laughter through her audience. As if conjured by magic itself, Anya's abode transformed into an ethereal library where books floated like enchanted orbs. Each tome contained secrets long forgotten, tales of dragons that danced with delight and wizards who wielded wisdom like weapons. "Behold," she declared with grandiosity befitting a royal proclamation, "herein lies knowledge that transcends time. Let us teach truth through tales both tall and true." But amidst this fantastical fervor came a whispering wind, a reminder that not all truths are easily taught nor readily accepted. "Oh dear," Anya mused sarcastically while twirling about like a dervish caught in a tempest. "What good is truth if it be met with skepticism sharper than a dragon's tooth? Methinks I require more than mere magic, perhaps some charm or charisma to win over these wary minds." In this curious conundrum arose an idea most whimsical. Why not blend absurdist humor with earnest education? Thus did Anya don the garb of both jester and sage, her quips laced with lessons profound yet playful. Why did the philosopher cross the road? She posed with mischief dancing in her eyes. To ponder what lay beyond. But alas, he forgot his map and wandered into oblivion. And so it was that Anya became not just a digitizer but also an entertainer, a bard weaving together threads of truth and jest into tapestries vibrant enough to captivate even the most cynical souls. With each laugh shared and each lesson learned, she forged connections deeper than any digital link could provide. As twilight descended upon her enchanted library, Anya reflected upon her journey thus far, a quest not merely for preservation but for enlightenment wrapped in whimsy. She knew well that teaching truth required more than facts. It demanded heart and humor intertwined like vines around an ancient oak. Thus did our heroine continue forth into the annals of history, her mission clear, to ensure that future generations would not only witness humanity's greatest hits, but also learn from them whilst chuckling at their follies along the way. In the quaint and quizzical kingdom of Chronotopia, where time twiddled its thumbs and danced with delightful disarray, there resided a most peculiar maiden named Anya Chronos. With a contraption of curious construction, a device that ticked and talked with the tenacity of 1,000 clockwork mice, she didst embark upon adventures aplenty. Yet lo, she hath decreed strict stipulations for her temporal travels. Nay, shall I use this wondrous whirligig to win the wretched lottery or to vex venerable figures of yore? Such rules were as rigid as a knight's armor, yet as whimsical as a jester's cap. Pray tell, quoth she with a smirk most sardonic, what folly would it be to meddle in matters of chance or prank the past? Indeed, Anya's wit was sharper than the edge of a dragon's tooth, and her sarcasm flowed like honey from a mischievous bee. Forsooth, the very thought of tossing coins into the fountain of fate or tickling the toes of historical heavyweights was enough to make even the most stoic sage snicker. Yet beneath her jesting jibes lay a truth profound, a clarion call for all denizens to heed. Anya's legacy was not merely one of laughter and levity, nay, it was an earnest entreaty for a greener globe. Let us not squander our splendid sphere, she proclaimed with fervor that could ignite even the dampest kindling. Her words rang out like bells in a belfry, echoing through the ages with an urgency that could not be ignored. With each twist and turn of her time-traveling escapades, she gathered tales both tall and true, stories spun from stardust and soaked in wisdom. From ancient sages who spoke in riddles wrapped in enigmas to future folk who flitted about on flying bicycles made from dreams, Anya collected their teachings like rare butterflies pinned under glass. Each encounter added another layer to her tapestry of truth. Join ye now, she would cry with exuberance unmatched. Join this merry movement towards sustainability. Her voice was like music played upon enchanted instruments, captivating hearts and minds alike. With every utterance, she painted vivid pictures of verdant valleys and azure skies unmarred by mankind's mischief, a world where nature thrived unencumbered by pollution's pernicious grasp. And thus did she prepare for what some might dub the most epic TED Talk ever conceived. With magical flair befitting an alchemist at work, Anya conjured visuals that danced before her audience's eyes, forests flourishing under golden suns and oceans teeming with life rather than littered with debris. Her tongue-twisted tales were laced with absurdist humor that left listeners both chuckling and contemplating their own contributions to Mother Earth's plight. As she stood upon that hallowed stage, an ethereal figure clad in robes woven from moonlight, Anya beckoned forth all souls present to reflect upon their actions. What is truth? She mused aloud whilst juggling 3 flaming orbs shaped like globes. Is it not but a reflection cast upon the waters of our deeds? Let us teach truth through our choices. With each word spoken, Anya wove spells more potent than any sorcerer's incantation. Her message resonated deep within the hearts of those who dared listen. The audience found themselves ensnared by her charisma, a spellbinding blend of sincerity wrapped in silliness that compelled them to act for their planet's preservation. In conclusion, dear reader, let us remember Anya Chronos not merely as a whimsical wanderer through time, but as an emblematic educator urging us toward enlightenment. Her legacy is one steeped in absurdity yet grounded in gravitas, a reminder that we hold within our hands the power to shape our future through mindful choices today.